All right, everyone, it's 12:05. Good afternoon. I'm Andrea Fisher, Chair of the Lakewood Chamber's Education Task Force, and I'm so happy you could join us this afternoon for the Chamber's first virtual brown bag luncheon of 2021. Fitting for the month of January, our topic this afternoon is resolutions. We will hear 4 inspiring stories about starting fresh, setting goals, and being accountable, told by an eclectic group of local resolution keepers and presented in the PechaKucha 20 by 20 format. Our resolution keepers include Michael Bentley, Vice President of Investments at Bentley Wealth Management of Raymond James, Sarah Kepple, Council Representative at Large for Lakewood City Council, Casey McKenna, Principal at St. Edward High School, and Aaron Witwer, Co-founder and Chief Health Strategist at Humankind Health Consulting. Before we get started, I just have a few housekeeping details to go over so you know how to participate in today's event. First off, only our PechaKucha event team and the Resolution Keepers presenters have video and audio capacity during today's event. The PechaKucha 20 by 20 presentation format is fun and fast-paced. Each speaker has 20 seconds to discuss each of their 20 presentation slides. Please don't distract our brave participants with chat questions. Just sit back and enjoy their story. Between each speaker, we will play a little New Year's Around the World trivia. Our trivia host today is Mike Daso, Chairman of the Chamber Board. To answer the trivia questions, just type your guess into the chat box. The first person to enter the correct answer will win the prize. All the prizes today are donated by a local chamber member. Also, to share with your friends and family, please know that we are recording today's event and you will share the video link with you after. For those of you who don't know about PechaKucha, it began, well, because people like to talk. In 2003, yearning for more show, less tell, 2 architects in Tokyo. Their initial purpose was to streamline long, boring design presentations. These sessions soon morphed into happenings called PechaKucha Nights, first in Tokyo, then around the world. Today, more than 50,000 people present at over 1,000 global PechaKucha Nights every year, and the number keeps exploding. Today, schools and businesses use PechaKucha to creatively and effectively engage students and employees on a range of subject matters. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce our first resolution keeper today, Michael Bentley. Are you ready, Michael?
I'm ready. Let's begin. So this is a story about how I've gotten to be known as a local financial resolution keeper. It comes down to resolve to help people and finding and providing mentorship along the way within my whole story. So I hope you enjoy. It really started here in Lakewood, and 3rd generation in the community. There we go. I am a Lakewood High graduate, go Rangers. And it really was leadership building from the early days through sports like football and also extracurricular activities. From there, we went to Ohio State University. This was probably the most appropriate picture I could find from my college days. Went on to the Fisher College of Business. We don't just study football there. It was one of the only schools in the nation at the time to have a risk management insurance specialty. I had the option to customize it to financial planning or to be an actuary, and I chose to go through financial planning, which led me to an internship in this little old church building in Dublin, Ohio, MIDA Pension and Financial Planning, where I started to get my feet wet. Technology then was much different than it is today. A lot of spreadsheets passing along the way, but really what it taught me was about centering. Approaching graduation, I told my father that I wanted to get in the field of being a financial advisor. He was afraid I'd fail. We were on our way to Mama Santa's in Little Italy, and we had a gigantic argument over this, screaming at each other as we drove down the street because he didn't want me to fail and wanted me to enter the family business of commercial property and casualty insurance. I knew insurance, but I wasn't excited about it. I wanted to carve my own path ultimately. I kind of viewed the insurance business as a fallback, which is why I focused my degree on financial planning, and I got an internship there. So I didn't want to be my father's shadow. I wanted to be my own person. So upon graduating from OSU, I got an opportunity to start my career at Raymond James, which used to be in this building. I was a bright-eyed, bushy-tailed 22-year-old, excited, thinking that it would be easy to get involved in this type of business. Who wouldn't want to give a 22-year-old all their career earnings, right? Well, I had a wonderful mentor that took it upon himself to make sure that I would not fail. And I was a member of the Lakewood Chamber of Commerce to keep connected to the community and make some important connections. And then along came executive director at the time, Kathy Berkshire. Those that know Kathy know she does not take no for an answer. She asked me to get on the board of directors, and I was only 25 years old. It gave me a lot of experience that was needed later to be a true community leader. Fast forward to 2009, I marry a woman who is the ultimate caretaker. She's a registered nurse. She's literally saved the life of a neighbor who was in a fireworks accident a few years ago. And she deals with testosterone-fueled home with 3 males, including 2 she's raised as I've built a business. 2009 was also a year where I opted to spread my wings. My mentorship and partnership with my business was going fine, but I needed to be my own person. So I found me at JP Morgan, where I grew as a person, but they limited community engagement, which kind of left a hole open for me. Ultimately, like many large corporations, they began to give us less flexibility, and I knew I needed to go in and do something else. So 5 years ago, almost to the day, I decided to boomerang back to Raymond James. It was like moving away from your hometown, but then you realize you want to be back home. I really grown and matured, and they advocated for me to be more involved in the community. That led me to finding Lakewood Alive to start. I wanted to engage in organizations that gave back into the community. The housing outreach program was one way I felt like I could be involved, along with the Front Porch Concert Series, which we've been the title sponsor at in front of the library for the last 5 years. The housing outreach program became a way for us to gather friends, family, and even clients, believe it or not, from other communities too, to give back annually. And in full disclosure, I do sit on the board of directors and chair several committees for them. So this is not in any way a way to get request to give, but if you'd like, go ahead. Another charitable organization our family believes in heavily is the Lakewood Ranger Education Foundation. My wife and I both being alum, our children will be 4th generation graduates from Lakewood High. They provide grants and scholarships to current teachers and students for programming and equipment, programming to equipment, and college now advisors, while also working with alumni to keep them connected to the school district. These, along with other activities, have gotten me accolades. But most important thing to me is showing those around us what's important to keep our community strong. Put your money and your efforts where your mouth is. Those that are in the Valley need help getting out, and that's what the organizations I get involved with do. Those that follow us on social media know these two as the interns. Our goal as parents is to show them along the way that you give back. Work hard, bear fruit, and also help feed the community around you. Whatever they're passionate about, we want them to stand for it, and we will stand by them. Parenting is the ultimate mentorship. Hopefully we don't screw them up too badly. In my professional life, the ultimate mentorship in my professional life is working with my clientele. I've retired hundreds of times for my clients, so they only need to do it once. Sometimes you don't see the fruit of the labor until the end, as you see the tears in their eyes as they retire, or you see the tears in their heirs' eyes as they receive a nice inheritance that they had no idea about. So I try to be like a yogi for my clients. I need to find the ultimate balance in their portfolios and help them find the ultimate balance in their lives. The balance could be about what debts to pay off or how to take the ups and downs in the markets or the economy. The biggest key whether it's in my professional life or my personal life is to be like a less good-looking version of the NFL's Coach of the Year. All that really matters is this right here is my wife's dream team. And finally, this slide is if you'd like to contact me for any reason after the fact, you can reach out to me, but it also makes my compliance department happy. I'd like to thank the Lakewood Chamber of Commerce and all of you for taking the time to listen tonight. Or today, I guess.
Mike, that was awesome. Thank you for sharing your story. And this is Mike Daso again from the chair of Lakewood Chamber of Commerce. And thank you for everything you do for Lakewood. I really appreciate the comments you made about Lakewood Alive and the Lakewood Rangers education and being raised in Lakewood and staying in Lakewood, and you're a vital member of our community. So thank you for sharing your story with us today. We really appreciate it. I'm gonna move on to a trivia question now. So get the chat box ready. Let's see if I see someone. Oh, Patty already chatted in. Any of your trivia guesses in the chat. I'm gonna try to monitor the chat and see who gets the correct answer for each trivia question. So the first one I'm gonna start out with is a question on a New Year's tradition from the Philippines. So no Google searching. Let's everyone be honest from home. But the question is, for good luck on New Year's in the Philippines, what pattern of clothes should you wear? What pattern of clothes should you wear for good luck in the Philippines on New Year's? And Krista Freelander got it on the first guess. I could not believe it. Polka dots is the correct answer. And I'm going to show this for the benefit of the camera. I wear my polka dot tie today, but circles are thought to be good luck. So the prize you won is an excellent prize. It's from the Beck Center, and they have plans to reopen later this year, and it's going to be 2 tickets to an upcoming performance at the Beck Center for the Arts later this year. So thank you to the Beck Center for donating that prize. And Krista, we will make sure to get that prize to you. Thank you very much. We're going to move on to now Sarah Kepple with Lakewood City Council, and she will be our next presenter. So Sarah, take it away. So Sarah, take it away.
All right, I guess I'm ready. In elementary school, we read the fictionalized account of the real Hilda Edwards, who in the early 1900s resolved to do 3 things that were very difficult for women of that era to do: to get her education, to see the world, and to make the world a more beautiful place. Returning from her travels after completing her education, Ms. Edwards began planting lupine seeds and would harvest them every year and continue to spread them along the coast of Maine. And the ancestors of those flowers can still be seen today, beautifying the world, the coastline there. This reminds me of the resolve of the women in my family. My triple great-grandmother, who left rural Ohio to sail around the world, and her daughter Carrie, who was the first woman to graduate from Cornell's Lewiston Institute in the late 1800s. Carrie's daughter, Eva, would also continue her education, graduating in 1912 from Ohio Wesleyan. And Eva's mother also was a college graduate, which was pretty unusual at the time. Eva would tell her granddaughters, "Girls, get your education because no one could ever take it from you." So Eva's granddaughters were in no jeopardy of that because their mother, my grandmother Frances, also valued education and resolved to use it as a public school teacher, and also continuing education through being a 4-H mentor and through her Ladies Progress Club, continuing to help women in the area. Her daughter Mary would follow in her footsteps as a public school teacher, getting her degree in music education. She taught hundreds of young people to raise their voices and would often stay up late into the night sewing costumes and painting sets so that every child could feel special, and feel that they're part of something bigger than themselves. Feeling a part of something bigger than themselves was part of my parents' resolution for us, and they resolved to help us truly see the world through extensive family travel and cultural exchange. They planned and saved to see this resolution come to fruition so that we could build empathy and see others. By the time I graduated, whether I realized it or not, the resolutions of my foremothers were deeply seated in me, and I became the latest in a long line of keepers. I used my education when I started working in the public library sector, and working in multiple communities. I noticed that students who were served by lower funded schools were following significantly behind their peers in the areas of technology education and 21st century learning skills. I resolved to do something about it, and so I launched a number of initiatives, including early technology literacy stations, audio and visual recording studios in the branches, and librarian-led literacy-based robotics clubs. Over time, we built a real culture of peer-to-peer innovation, and I was resolved to spread the seeds of technology literacy beyond the library walls. So I launched my business, GigaLearn, and I wrote to spread technology education to more people in more places. And I wrote 2 professional books to help share what I'd learned with those who were resolved to do the same in their own communities. As a public servant and being out engaged with the community, I'd always been socially aware. But after the 2016 election, I resolved to do more. I think we should be having the other slide. Okay, resolved to do more. The online group Pantsuit Nation became the Action Together network. And at the first meeting of the Lakewood chapter, I volunteered my tech and strategic planning skills to get us started and organized. And just like that, I became the lead organizer of Action Together Lakewood area. You might be familiar with us. We hosted the big Hate Has No Home Here rally in Lakewood after Charlottesville, and symbols of hate were spray painted in Lakewood. We've also hosted a lot of educational events around the Affordable Care Act and immigration policy, prison reform, etc. We've also led a number of rallies and organized a number of events around reuniting families and preserving healthcare, and registered voters, and done a lot of lobbying of legislators. Doing that work, it became clear we needed more legislators in all levels of government and representatives who shared our values and our work ethic. And I resolved to help get them elected, which I have been doing and did. Doing that work, I worked with a lot of disparate groups and kind of brought them together, and heard from voters and potential voters of how they could be better represented. So when the position became available on city council, a lot of neighbors encouraged me to apply for it, actually. And I had a growing business to run, a teenager to raise, actions to plan, but I resolved to make it work because I wanted to have more female representation and leave a trail for those following. I was unanimously chosen and sworn in on February 18th of last year, 2020. And within weeks of being sworn in, I became concerned about this virus that was headed our way, and how we could meet, since there was nothing in the charter that allowed us to meet remotely. Knowing that there were technological solutions, I resolved to find legal ones, and less than a month into starting on council, I wrote my first resolution and passed it to allow us to meet remotely or reschedule meetings as needed so we could continue the people's business, especially in a state of emergency. COVID also started wreaking havoc on small businesses, including my own. So I reached out to a lot of Lakewood proprietors and resolved to do everything that I could do to help. I wrote and passed an express parking bill working with the planning division at City Hall, advocated for expanded outdoor dining, researched and promoted resources, promoted local shopping, and we missed a last slide. There should be one more slide, so I don't know what happened. But I'll just tell you what it would say, I guess. So COVID also highlighted existing disparities. So I wrote and passed a resolution requiring council and administration to complete racial equity and social justice challenge. Just a step on the journey to making the world a more beautiful place.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you so much for sharing your story. It's interesting as we really reflect on our elected officials. It's just so nice to now have the backstory on you and hear all of that. And boy, does your daughter, I don't know if it was your great-grandmother or great-great-grandmother, but she looks exactly like one of those pictures that you showed as well. It's remarkable. So thank you so much for sharing your story and for everything you do for the community. Appreciate your time today. So let's move on to the chat again. Got a second trivia question. I'm going to stay on the circle theme here. So this time I'm going to go to Spain, and Spain at the hour of midnight, it's considered good luck to eat on each stroke of the clock, to eat 12. Oh, I cannot believe this. I'm completely shocked. It's almost like Jeopardy, where someone rings in quickly. Kurt Broski got the correct answer. It is grapes. It is grapes that are eaten at midnight, 12 grapes on the strike of the clock. Kathy Berkshire got it in as well, but I think she was about 4 seconds behind Kurt with the correct answer. So congratulations for Kurt Broski for getting the correct answer of eating 12 grapes at midnight at each stroke of the clock. So the prize we have, and this is a fun prize, it's from Lakewood Alive, and it's a spooky pooch calendar with their dressed up dogs highlighted for each month of the year. So we'll make sure that that we get that out as well. So we're gonna move on now to Casey McKenna, principal over at St. Edward High School. And Casey, we look forward to your presentation as well. Take it away, Casey.
Thanks, ready to go. Hey everybody, as Mike said, my name is Casey McKenna. The title of my PechaKucha is I'm a Resolution Breaker. And I think I learned this by going through this process. This is the first time I've ever done a presentation of this type. And so I'm a little excited to share my story with you all and why I'm a resolution breaker. First, just a little bit about me. I am the principal at St. Ed's. My wife is an art director at Rosenberg Advertising, and we have two sons, Henry and Roger, who are students at Lakewood Catholic Academy. We love adventuring as much as possible. We get out quite a bit, going outdoors. That's a picture of us at the New River Gorge. And this is a picture of me in Sedona, Arizona. I'm a resolution maker by nature, and I see resolutions as a long-term goal that we set really to improve ourselves. And so at the core of who I am, I really do spend every year making a resolution. And I want to talk through some of the resolutions that I've made in the past. In 2016, I sought to read 100 books in a year, essentially 2 books a week. And that started with a challenge between a colleague and I to see who could read the most. And I said, I will get to 100 by the end of this year. In 2014, I resolved to walk 5 million steps over the course of a calendar year, which was about 15,000 steps a day. And I thought that would be relatively easy. And the steps 1 through 10,000 a day are relatively easy. Getting 10 to 15,000 tended to be hard. And this year, serendipitously, I sought to improve my golf game and become a single handicapper, which ended up working out great with the pandemic, as it was one of the few activities that you could do and continue to do well in a socially distanced way. So that's kind of who I am. I like to set goals like that. But I realized as I was putting this presentation together that I am not a resolution keeper. I have failed at all three of those, and at a number of resolutions that I have made over the years. And this presentation gave me an opportunity to really reflect on that. Like, you know, what is behind that failure, and why do I fail? And it really had to take some time over the couple of weeks to think about why resolutions don't work out for people. And I think one of the major reasons that resolutions are a challenge for people is we may focus on the wrong thing. I think, especially in my case, I often focus on the finish line. And I think about, wow, isn't it going to be great? I've set these wonderful goals for myself. And when I get to the finish line, it's going to be amazing to say that I've accomplished these things. And I think one of the reasons we focus so much on the finish line is, frankly, because of social media. We love going out there and saying to our friends and families who follow us on social media, like, look at all of these wonderful things that I've accomplished. And you know, I want to share with you that I read 100 books in a year, or that I was able to walk 5 million steps, or that I'm a single handicap golfer. Anybody who knows me well, especially people who work with me, know that I'm always focused on outcomes. I always am telling people the inputs don't necessarily matter. The outcomes are generally what matters. But I think when it comes to resolutions, the opposite should be true, because with resolutions, I think it's an opportunity for us to be inherently selfish and to be somewhat self-centered, because resolutions really are about improving yourself and improving yourself over a long period of time. And I think for a lot of us, it can be really, really difficult to be self-centered. You know, we want to serve others, but when it comes to resolutions, we need to start focusing more on inputs than necessarily outcomes. And I'm an educator, and one of the things that I think is really important about education is not necessarily the outcomes. It should be focused on inputs, because education is all about self-improvement in many ways too. And for me, it can be frustrating when students focus solely on their grades and focusing on that outcome at the end of a process, and that we put so much emphasis on grades versus the process by which we get to them. And so when a student tells me that he wants to focus on getting straight A's, I always try to challenge him back and say, let's focus on the learning. And the picture that's on the screen now, it's a fun project that we do with students. It's an ice cream making project that we do with students across all levels. And the reason we do the project is because it is inherently process focused. And it's all about going through the design cycle. And ice cream around the world is made all the same ways with the same ingredients. But if you don't do the process right, it can be a struggle. And so we focus on process. So as I was going through this, I thought to myself, like, I've missed the mark so many times. But if resolutions are meant to be process focused, maybe we can learn from that and focus more on the journey than necessarily the goal at hand. And so what has that meant for me? So I failed at the book reading challenge, but in that year, I read 86 books. And I don't know that I will ever have a year where I read 86 books in 1 year. And I probably learned more in that year than, lots of my years being educated and being an educator. And so while I failed, it was a great outcome. Well, I didn't reach the 5 million steps milestone because I was so focused on walking that year. I actually lost 40 pounds, and I wasn't even trying to do that. That wasn't necessarily the focus of the outcome. But over the course of the process, it actually ended up having a much better benefit than what I had in mind from the start. And then, of course, this year, I'm not a single golf handicapper. I do hope to get there, but I was able to break 80 3 times, which was a huge goal for me as well. And so while I still want to get there, I can be proud of what I accomplished, because over the course of the journey, while I didn't get to the goal, I achieved something that was important for me. And so my last slide, my kids and I watch this movie all the time, Cool Runnings. And there's a great line in there from the Jamaican bobsled team, which is peace be the journey. And so as you're focused on your resolutions for this year, I would tell you this, focus more on the journey than the outcome. And I think you'll find really incredible results. Appreciate everybody's time. Thanks very much.
Casey, thank you so much. I really appreciate you being willing to share with everyone some failures and how that might be able to benefit some other people. And I also loved your comment about being selfish. I think sometimes it is hard to really take time for yourself when you've got a spouse and kids and work commitments. So I really appreciate you sharing that as well, that desire to just take some time for yourself. So Casey, thank you so much for those words and for your time today. Really appreciate it. Let's move on to our third trivia question. We're going to go to a Scottish tradition now. So maybe we've got someone in the audience with a advantage here. We'll see. But in Scottish tradition, the question is, who is it good luck to kiss on New Year's Eve? Or what is the tradition of who you were supposed to kiss on New Year's Eve according to Scottish tradition? So go ahead and chat in any guesses that you have. I've seen some interesting ones. I see a dog in there. I love that comment. But who is it good luck to kiss on New Year's Eve according to Scottish tradition? Go ahead and chat in some answers here. Anybody else have a guess? Got a Blarney Stone. That's a good. Think about people that you might be with at midnight. Just to give a little clue. Who might you be with at midnight? Anyone? Your mom? That's a good guess. Your wife? No, not your wife. Think bigger. Think more people, perhaps. See kids in there. I love some of these answers coming in. Oldest person in the room. Think bigger. Think multiple people, perhaps. Okay, we did not have a correct answer. I'm going to pivot the answer to that. We did get, well, close. I'm going to give it to Emma Owens. So the answer is everyone in the room, but I'm going to take Emma's answer of entire extended family. I think that's the closest one. So in Scottish tradition, at midnight, you are, for good luck, supposed to go around and just kiss everyone in the room. It's supposed to bring everyone in the room together, make them part of the New Year's community. And it's also supposed to make it nicer for any single individuals that might be in the room and not there with a date or a significant other. So Scottish tradition is to kiss everyone in the room. And we're going to give Emma Owens credit for that by saying entire extended family. I think that's the closest correct answer. So thank you to everyone for guessing. We have one more trivia question coming up at the end. So please stay online for that. And now I'd like to introduce Aaron Witwer from Humankind Health. Aaron.
I'm ready.
Awesome. Take it away.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Aaron Witwer. I'm a dad to two beautiful, healthy girls and a husband to a brilliant and empathetic wife. I have some passionate and kooky business partners, one of which you see here. And I surround myself with inspiring, inventive people with varied backgrounds, knowledge, and that help me grow. You know how you hear stories about people skipping healthcare because they can't afford it, or confused and frightened about the cost of care and will they get a bill and what will happen? In 2019, I resolved to start a firm that's committed to those kinds of people, and I did it with some partners. The story I'm going to tell today is about Helen and a company, or a couple companies, and they're not real, but really an amalgamation of stories that I've experienced over my years. And so Helen lives in Lakewood in one of the oldest neighborhoods. She rents a home. She's a single mother with a 15-year-old daughter. She has a car, but she sort of prefers to take the bus to Acme Plumbing, her job, which is in one of the many iconic Cleveland industrial areas. Helen has an associate's degree in human services, and her work at Acme includes customer scheduling, issue resolution, office work. She gets paid about $35,000, and she quite likes the company and her coworkers. In her mind, they really seem to care about the workers. Acme offers health insurance to full-time employees, And that's one of the overwhelming perks of the job. She's worked at other places like retail where she wasn't eligible for benefits. So to her, any health insurance is good insurance, especially as a single parent and a daughter with asthma. With her insurance now, Helen pays about $475 a month and has a $2,500 deductible, which means she has to pay $2,500 if you have care. And the copays are pretty cheap, and she's able to refill her daughter's prescription without too much cost. So that's her financial situation. However, the limitations of her health insurance and many like her are fully realized when her daughter is recently taken by ambulance and admitted to the ER due to breathing problems and subsequently hospitalized for 2 days. She's told that her daughter would also need another small procedure for her airway to decrease the chance of this emergency again. The bills for the ambulance, the emergency, the hospital care are high, around $14,000. The bill shows that her anesthesiologist, a specialist, emergency transport, not in network. And while the rest of the care is part of her health insurance, she's now up against that $2,500 and contemplating how to pay for the rest of it out of her $6,000 savings account. So with the strain of these medical bills and the pressure of her daughter's upcoming procedure, she is searching desperately for answers. And so during a walk with a friend, the friend mentioned that her company is hiring. This is a manufacturing firm, about 150 employees or so. And she'd probably make more money, if not the same. And having heard about the medical bills, her friend raves about their health insurance. When was the last time you heard that? I haven't seen a medical bill, she says, since the company changed their health insurance 2 years ago. I had to go to the ER for my back and my orthopedist last year, if you'll remember. We just don't get bills, ever, she said. And I don't have a deductible as long as I stay in this network. Helen is stunned. If she were on that kind of plan when her daughter went to the hospital, she would have paid her $2,500 deductible and maybe a few copays. She immediately applies for the job and starts asking questions to the HR director. And this is her notes. There's no deductibles if you stay in network, no surprise bills, upfront cost of medical procedures, no copays. You see the rest of this. There's advocates to help along the way. It is this same day I have a meeting with this HR director, and he proceeds to tell me Helen's story, how medical bills are draining her savings, fear of bills kept her from getting care when she needed it, when her daughter needed it. The confusion is real, and Rick, the HR director, sees it constantly. But when we're talking, he's grinning ear to ear. He's proud to have that health insurance plan that attracted talent and protects his workers' health. He's in a position now to welcome top-notch candidates in this area with open arms and compete with other companies for similar talent and not necessarily pay them more. The difference is the health insurance. That's the difference in his recruiting. And we're able to help companies like this manage their costs by using strategies that jumbo companies like Walmart and Boeing and Lowe's and Comcast have been doing for decades. You have to negotiate medical costs, pharmacy costs. You have to give great customer service, and you don't pay for errors. When you pay for medical errors as an employer, it's like being rehospitalized, getting an infection. It's like you've paid twice. So we work hard to create plans like this for them, educating them on the cost savings, how to communicate with the employees. And Helen now realizes, and the employees realize, that benefits are equally as important as her paycheck. She has no idea. She had no idea she could save this much and have reliability and comfort with her healthcare. She feels supported by her doctors in her new plan. The customer service agents take their time and answer her questions patiently. They even help her navigate the confusing nature of the health system, multiple specialists with her daughter, any conditions that come up for her, and she never gets any bills. Certainly no bills that are unexpected. Plans like this are so important because they make admirable strides towards health equity. Health equity means that everyone has a fair and just opportunity to be as healthy as possible. And achieving this requires removing obstacles like you see on the screen here: education, job, income. This is an important part of how we solve these problems. You see health and home, they go together. Having a lack of job, fair pay, education, housing, these are restrictions to people being healthy. So when we create solutions to improve healthcare for all, we inch closer to health equity, real health. So as this graphic right here shows everyone has different needs to achieve optimal healthcare. Maybe it's 1 box, maybe it's 2, and maybe it's 3 boxes to reach up and get the apple, to reach what you need. And we need to create plans that help people reach. Health equity, our limitations right now in this system, and the social determinants of health are the reason that we made the resolution to start our firm in 2019, and why we work with employers like Helen's to help create new beginnings. Thank you to the Chamber, thank you to the organizers, and thank you to everyone that'll hear this and want to make differences as well.
Aaron, thank you so much. And certainly you're right. There's a big issue with healthcare, and it's a challenge. So we appreciate you sharing your story with us this morning. And it gets us thinking about, like you said, equality versus equity. And that's an important distinction, and just really appreciate your time and sharing that with us this afternoon. Thank you, Aaron. Well, I want to do a final trivia question, but I did forget to mention the exciting prize that Emma Owens won last time. And it's some free bread from Breadsmith. So that's just a fantastic prize. And it's not 1 loaf, not 2 loaves, but 6 loaves of free bread from Breadsmith. So Emma, congratulations so much. Patty will reach out to you to figure out how you can get that prize. And we really appreciate Breadsmith for donating that as well. Now for our last trivia question. And the prize is donated by the Lakewood Recreation Department. And it's 3 months of free membership at the Lakewood High School fitness facility. So once again, 3 months of free membership. I know Casey was talking about trying to meet resolutions. So maybe this is a good way for someone to work on that input model that Casey was talking about, and start walking around the track while it's cold up at the Lakewood High School facility. So get that chatting ready, and let's see who's going to win this last prize. So this trivia question, it's kind of an interesting tradition, and the answer to this question is going to be the country that the tradition is from. And I'll give some clues if we don't get it quickly to try to narrow down on the geography. And I thought this was interesting primarily because of 2020 and the type of year we had in 2020. So there's a tradition in a country where you make a small stuffed doll, a male doll, and then you have every member of your family donate a piece of old clothing, from some scrap clothing, maybe an old t-shirt, an old sock, something like that, but a piece of old clothing. And then you attach the clothing to this little male doll. And then you take that small doll and then you burn it. You get rid of it. And getting rid of this doll from pieces of clothing from the entire family is supposed to get rid of all the negative or bad things from the previous year. So I'm asking, we're getting some guesses. That's okay. Go ahead and start guessing if you want. But what country is this tradition where you would burn, or we're getting close geography wise? I'm seeing kind of, oh, Donald got it. Colombia is the correct answer. Colombia is the correct answer. So Donald Heckenmoser is the winner of the prize for the 3-year complimentary membership over at the Lakewood High School Recreation Facility. Congratulations. Andrea, you want to take it from here?
All right. Thank you, everyone. A special big thanks to all of our presenters today. Such an entertaining and inspiring lunch hour. Great way to end the week. Thank you so much to Mike Daso for getting together and presenting all of these fabulous trivia questions. Also, a special thanks to Patty Ryan and Lauren Small. And thank you to all of you for attending today. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.